TV Nasir. Number one, England no longer have the jinx of having never won an ICC event. This World Cup could see them add a world crown to the 2020. And your favourites?
No, England aren't my favourites for the tournament. I would say there are a lot of different sides that could win this. This is the most evenly contested World Cup for a long, long time. Australia have come back to the pack. England are a very good side. They did win the World 2020 and they've had a lot of confidence in the last 2 years. They've won 2 Ashes series and playing good cricket. They've had a bit of a lean time in Australia, but England could well be the dark horses of the tournament, definitely.
The 6-1 drubbing against the Aussies was not along expected lines. Is England not a good one-day unit, or was it just a one-off?
They were mentally very, very tired after a very long Ashes campaign in Australia. And Australia played some good cricket in the one-dayers. They brought in players that played well, some one-day specialists like Hussain. But England didn't play particularly well. Their big guns didn't fire. Morgan didn't fire. Peterson didn't fire. Collingwood didn't fire. The senior players didn't particularly play well. They had a lot of injuries as well. The likes of Stuart Broad was injured. Graham Swann was injured. Bresnan was injured. So I expect to see a rejuvenated England side. They will be mentally fatigued. They've only had 3 days at home this winter since the start of the Ashes about 3 months ago. So as long as they can get their mental state of mind right, I think England will be a better side in the subcontinent, as long as they cope with conditions. England historically haven't done well in India in one-day cricket, and they've lost Owen Morgan as well, who's a massive blow with his injury. So the likes of Peterson and Collingwood and Strauss need to deliver.
The English haven't done too well in India in one-dayers the last 2 times. That's a huge drawback. What do you think of this?
It is. It's because England historically haven't played the spinners well, and when pace comes off the ball, England have really struggled. Even in Australia recently, when they lost 6-1, part-time spinners like David Hussey and Steve Smith bowled really well against England. England let them bowl well. So that's where England must improve, and that's where Owen Morgan has been such an improvement for England, the way he has played spin with his sweeps and reverse sweeps and his manoeuvring of the ball and his using the feet. Unfortunately, Morgan is injured and out of the tournament, so it's going to be the likes of Peterson, who's an exceptional player of spin, and Collingwood to make sure that they do play spin in those middle overs. I personally would pick someone like Ravi Bopara for that reason in the middle order, because he's a very good player of spin. But that's an area England definitely have struggled in India with.
Graham Swann is also a key factor, the top quality spinner England were looking for.
Yeah, I think Swann must play. Again, he's been carrying an injury, but he's back fit now. Swann is a good all-round cricketer in one-day cricket. He provides runs down the order. He could be batting as low as number 9 or 10 with Stuart Broad. So England have a lot of depth to their batting because of Graham Swann. But you're right, his spin bowling is going to be the key, especially in the subcontinent. He hasn't quite had the success in one-day cricket that he's had in test match cricket. He still bowls a very attacking line in one-dayers, but you'd expect in one-day cricket Swann in the subcontinent to play a major role. He is a wicket taker, which is what you need in one-day cricket. He's not all about building pressure. And even someone like Harbhajan, who has said recently that he's learnt a lot in South Africa when they've been down there, as to the way Graham Swann bowled in South Africa, the way Graham Swann bowls. So that's a great compliment to Graham Swann that the likes of Harbhajan Singh is talking about him.
The fast bowling unit of the English will also be crucial, but will they be up to the task in alien conditions?
Yeah, they're very wise. I think the likes of Broad and Anderson and Bresnan, Shazad, watch out for Ajmal Shazad and his reverse swing. I think we saw in the World 2020 that England were the best side at thinking on their feet. Bowling, they're the ones that started off the slower ball bouncers, taking pace off the ball. They will use the short ball very wisely. They will use reverse swing very well with Shazad and Broad and Bresnan. So I think the England seam attack, Anderson can be a little bit hit and miss. Some days he does, some days he doesn't. But he is a wicket taker. So I think it's one of England's strengths are their seam attack. And they're all also very good all-round cricketers. They're not just bowlers. They bowl and field and bat. So they're multi-dimensional cricketers, all of those lads I mentioned.
Ian Morgan was a huge blow. Do you think it will affect the team performance?
I think it's a massive blow for England. Owen Morgan has been one of, not the only reason, I think they've started to play with a no-fear attitude, England, in the last year or two, and Morgan has been the one that's led that. He's the man in that middle order when England have been hiccuping a little bit. Morgan has pulled them through games against Australia and Pakistan. When England have needed a performance, Morgan has come in and he's been a breath of fresh air to England's one-day cricket. Left-hander, very strong. He's a little pocket battleship really. He hits the ball a long way, but he's also a very good manoeuvre of the ball. He plays in so many different roles. He's a massive blow for England. I had England as really serious contenders until Morgan got injured. There's still rumours that Morgan might come back for quarterfinals, semi-finals if England get to that stage, but they'd need someone to be injured first for Morgan to be able to come back into the squad. And also he wouldn't have played any cricket for 5-6 weeks, so it wouldn't be easy for him to come back into the squad. So that's a massive blow, Owen Morgan being injured.
With the Ashes and the one-day series ahead of the World Cup, do you think England have made the mistake of playing too much cricket and that too away from home?
Yeah, I think the itinerary in Australia, the Ashes was a massive thing. England played brilliantly, but to have 7 one-day internationals and 2 2020s all over Australia with all the travelling on the back of that and before a 7-week World Cup, I think is a disgrace really. By the end of that Australia one-days, you almost had, and it was both sides, it was Australia B team against England B team. Half the sides were missing. The quality of cricket was still pretty decent. There was a game in Sydney where Australia chased down 320, but you could see mentally England with the likes of Peterson especially was talking about getting home and the schedule. So I think mentally they were very jaded, but it's a new tournament, it's a World Cup, it's a massive tournament, and just playing other sides as well. England have played Australia all the time. I think just playing other sides like India and West Indies, etc., will give them a lift in confidence and mood in the camp.
It seems that everyone is picking India as favourite. Would you go with Dhoni's team?
India are one of the favourites. I think it's a very even tournament, more even than it's ever been before. Usually it's just Australia. How long will it take for Australia to win? I think this time Australia have come back to the pack, and I think there are some very dangerous contenders out there. I like Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka at home are going to be a very difficult side to beat. They're very well balanced. Obviously India are a very good side. They have superstar names, the likes of Sachin and Sehwag, Harbhajan, Zahir, Dhoni. The list is endless. They've got some good young cricketers as well. So I like their chances. I think the main obstacle for India is to cope with the pressure and the home crowds and the home media and everything that goes with an Indian World Cup. If you look at when India have done well historically, is when they've come in under the radar. In England under Kapil Dev all those years ago, with Dhoni in the World 2020 a few years ago in South Africa with that young side when no one gave them a chance. They didn't really understand 2020 cricket. Well, they won it, and that's because no one expected them. Well, this time everyone expects India to be in that final in Mumbai, and that's a whole heap of pressure. And already Dhoni is trying to alleviate that pressure by saying, no, this is not one of the most important tournaments. Well, it is, but he's just trying to keep the whole country calm.
It seems that the Indian team's mantra is, do it for Sachin. The Aussies have had a dig at it. What is your take?
I think it is very dangerous, and I know Sachin will not like that. I know Sachin very well, and Sachin is very much a team man. This has got to be about the Indian team. I do believe India have to be very careful, and it's not the team as much, it's the Indian public and press and media. It could become the Sachin Tendulkar show. He's 300s away from 100 international hundreds, so that could become an issue, focusing in on that rather than what the team is doing. If they get to a final, Mumbai, the boy from Mumbai playing in a final, his last chance maybe to win a World Cup for India off his own bat, and it could become the Tendulkar show. And Dhoni and Kirsten and all of India have got to make sure that the most important thing is India winning, not Sachin winning. And I know Sachin, it won't be Sachin's fault, it's just something that goes with being Sachin Tendulkar. Everyone will want to do it for him.
Sachin Tendulkar has had probably the best year of his career. Do you think he can cap it all off with a World Cup win?
Sachin, arguably for me, I would say, and I got in a bit of trouble a few months ago when Sachin got that double 100. I said Sachin's the greatest cricketer of all time, and a few Australians said, well, what about the Don, Don Bradman? I still believe that Tendulkar is the greatest batsman ever, maybe with Bradman, maybe you shouldn't compare eras, but I think Tendulkar is just one of the greats of all time, and it would be a good reward for Tendulkar to win, get 100 in Mumbai. It is fairy tale stuff. It would be great to see, He's a great guy. He's been a great servant for Indian cricket, and there won't be a dry eye in the house in Mumbai if he does it, but he knows and India knows there's a long way to go before that happens.
Andy Flower and Gary Kirsten, them at the helm, has coincided with England and India's golden periods. Similar sort of players in their prime, similar sort of coaches. How is it heading?
Very good selections, both of them. Kirsten is in. I know Gary very well through Duncan Fletcher. They're very good friends, and Duncan has always told me about Gary and what sort of guy he is. I think he's an exceptional leader of men and the perfect coach for India and all the press and publicity and media and razzmatazz that goes with Indian cricket. To have someone quiet behind the scenes. You don't hear Kirsten talk a lot. You don't hear big comments from Kirsten. Dhoni does all the talking. Kirsten just stays behind the scenes. He's done very well. I hear he's leaving after the World Cup. I think he's going back to South Africa. I think he's done a brilliant job with Indian cricket. I really think he has moved them on in the right direction. And the same with Andy Flower. I think Andy Flower is one of the great men of world cricket. What he's been through with Zimbabwe, coaching England, is a walk in the park compared to what he's been through. He's done a great job with England. He's a good leader of men. Him and Strauss have led the team very well, very highly respected, good cricket brains, good man management styles. They don't treat the players like kids. They treat them like grown-up professional cricketers. And they mix work and play very well. So two good leaders in Kirsten and Andy Flower.
The way the practice games have gone, it seems as if spin could be key. Or do you think it is the bat that will dominate the ball?
I think bat will dominate. I think it's going to be a high-scoring World Cup. Indian pitches are no longer just the big raging turners that they used to be. Of course they will turn. It doesn't know anything else in India and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. But I think bat will dominate. I think all the groundsmen will want to see high-scoring games. And we've already seen, scores of 270 might not be enough. We're going to be talking about scores pushing up towards 300 with 20 overs of power play, big hitters, small grounds. You're expecting bat to dominate, but it's going to be in those middle overs when spin comes on, pace comes off the ball, not just spin, but cutters, likes of there's a lad Hastings that plays for Australia, who bowls a lot of slower balls, Collingwood for England, those types of bowlers, and part-time bowlers. That's where India and Sri Lanka and sides like that have the likes of Yuvraj and Yusuf Pathan, a bit of Dilshan. Those part-time spinners will come on and give captains a very useful few overs here and there. And it's which teams play those spin overs the best will win the tournament.
Do you think Australia's reign at the top will end this round?
I think Australia will have to play exceptionally well to win this tournament. I don't think, like previous tournaments, they'll go unbeaten all the way through. I think they will occasionally have the odd banana skin here and there. I think they will lose the odd game. They haven't started great in the warm-up games. So I do believe Australia have way come back to the pack. I don't think they're favourites. I have sides ahead of them, such as India and Sri Lanka and South Africa ahead of Australia. But you should never write off Australia. I think they will miss Mike Hussey a lot. I think he was a massive blow, not having Hussey as their finisher. Their batting has been wobbly of late. They don't have, they've picked Frazier, but he's only just come back into the side, so they don't have a frontline spinner with Horrocks been injured. So I think that I think there are a few question marks for Ricky Ponting to answer, but never write off Australia. They will always be there or thereabouts.
Your thoughts on Dhoni as a captain? Do you think he has the charisma to end India's drought?
I don't think it comes down to charisma. I think Dhoni is an exceptional leader of men. I think what India have always needed, maybe after Ganguly, they needed Ganguly to fight. They needed that fight. India needed someone like Ganguly to lead and make India more feisty as a cricketing side. Dhoni, they've needed just to calm everyone down. They don't need to be feisty anymore. They need to be professional and calm and not worry about the media and the hype. And Dhoni's done that very well. He's a very cool, calculated captain. I think he's a very intelligent man. I think he's led from the front. He doesn't bottle it when it comes to the batting either. He plays well with the bat. So I think he's a good leader. I think from what I've seen of him, he's the perfect leader, a good combination with Gary Kirsten. Dhoni, the sort of charisma, the flair, the upfront spokesman of the team, and Gary Kirsten, the quiet man behind the scenes that makes the team more professional and tick. So I think Dhoni's the right man. I think Dhoni's got a great chance to create history. But there are issues with the Indian side. I think I haven't seen them for a while, but in the World 2020 they didn't look fit enough. They need to be fit to win the World Cup. But I think if they all deliver, I think they've got a great chance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.